Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at the MF3RS3, so let's get right into it. Alright, so MF3RS3, no plastic wrap, that's interesting. So one of the first things I noticed after turning this cube was actually the feel of the outside of the cube. It feels very rounded around the edges, not very sharp like something like the GAN 354 or the Volk, but it does feel very rounded. The plastic also almost feels like a mix between glossy and matte. It feels like it's not as glossy as the MF3RS2 was, but it's definitely not matte, because it definitely has that reflective property that the glossy plastic has. It just feels slightly different. Also, the shades are really good. It has a deep red and it has a deep blue, unlike the MF3RS2. So as you can see, the blue and red are a lot darker. The other shades are the same, but I would say that these shades are definitely improvements over the shades from the MF3RS2. As far as the turning goes, I'm pleasantly surprised actually. From what I've heard about this cube, it's a lot less forgiving than the MF3RS2 was, and I heard that it was a lot more stable and more rigid than the MF3RS2. But just after doing my first turns, it's definitely not as rigid as I thought it would be, and it seems like my turning is flowing pretty well on it. One thing I will note though is that when I'm doing controlled things like PLLs, I might not tend to overshoot because I know exactly what I'm going to be doing, rather than in an actual solve, when I don't exactly know what moves I'm going to be making throughout the entire solve, and that's the time that cubes tend to lock up. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and do a solve on this cube, and we'll see if the stability will make me lock up at all. Alright, 10:07, almost sub 10. The cube did feel slightly more locky than it did when I was just doing some simple turns, and it definitely feels less flexible than the plain MF3RS2. However, the cube seems for the most part controllable, and I'm liking the feel of it so far. One thing to note is that it does come with a decent factory lube in here. It makes the cube definitely more on the slow side, but that does make it controllable when you start to speed up and do algorithms faster. That will mean that it feels a bit slower than your average cube out of the box, and it won't be completely frictionless. Taking a look at the mechanism real quick, we can see that on the centerpiece, we can see that there are little protrusions on the corners of the base of the centerpiece right here, and these might be contributing to why the cube is a bit more stable than the previous version. The center design is very different on the MF3RS2. You had the lip around the whole centerpiece, which is present on many Waylong cubes in the past. However, it did not feature the pointy corners. Since the lip that was present on the MF3RS2 is not present on the MF3RS3, we can see that the big groove on the side of the edge piece is no longer present. As we look at the base of the cube, we can see that there is a little extra torpedo here on the side, and that also might be contributing to the higher stability. Now, the corners are very interesting. You'll see that there's a little screw that connects the foot of the corner piece to the rest of the cubie. And that's something that we used to see in some old GAN cubes, and they eliminated that to make the cube actually lighter. So I'd imagine that the MF3RS3 is definitely a bit heavier than the MF3RS2. Another notable thing about the foot of the corner piece is that it has been rounded off, and it's no longer as pointy as it was on the previous version. Another notable feature is that there are ridges on the foot of the corner piece where there weren't ridges on the previous version. So in general, the cube has a slightly more blocky, kind of bumpy feeling than the previous version. However, I do enjoy the feeling of this cube, and I think that a lot of other people will enjoy it too. The edges also have slots where you can insert magnets, so I don't know if there will be a factory magnetic version, but if you want to make your own, that will definitely make placing the magnets a lot easier. I think the magnetic version of this puzzle is going to be very popular, and I think that the added magnets will definitely help with the stability of this cube, and it might prevent a bit of lockups, which would be very convenient. So overall, this cube is very promising. It has very smooth turning. It has a nice weight to it. It feels a bit more premium than the previous version. However, it does feel slightly more blocky, so maybe if you like slightly more blocky cubes, or if you thought the MF3RS2 was a bit too flexible for your taste, then you might really like this cube. and I can't imagine it being too expensive. I'm sure it'll definitely be more expensive than the MF3RS2, however, probably only by a few dollars. So thank you so much to the Cubicle for sending me this cube to test out. The cube is not currently available yet, but once it is, I will have a link in the description below so you can buy it from their store. So that's about all I have for this unboxing. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.